Neighbor? I am the Martian ambassador.
Des Moines and all of Central Iowa, welcome to Mac's World Live. Mac's World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Mac's World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Mac's World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, good afternoon. It's, you know what it is. It's 7 minutes after 3 o'clock on the Lord's year of 2016, the 16th day of December, or February. I just don't want to let things move on, do I?
No.
I don't know why the deal is on that. I just keep thinking it's December. All right, Frank, do you know how to give me more headphone volume? If you could, I would appreciate that. And here we are, and I've got a great guest coming up this afternoon. I've had this man as a friend of mine for so many years, and we try to avoid talking politics when we can, unless we're on the radio. And that's Tom Henderson, who is the head of the Polk County Democratic Party. And he's coming up, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on inside the elections and what happened with the caucuses and what's going on in the legislature. And yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. You know, you'll probably enjoy it more if you decide to join us. And you can at 244-0077. That's the studio line. Frank's producing today, so he'll do his best to answer the phone. And then also you can text us at the Service Legends Truth Text Talk line at 515-809-0993. Look at us. We're all fancy and everything. We got a studio line. We got a text line. What's the line they can call Ron and just give him a bad time?
That would just be the business line or the administration
line. Does he answer that line?
Yes, he does.
And what's that number?
That is 515-251-2663. That's a great number to call if you've got, I don't know, question or comment about the station in general. There's
an answering machine on there.
There's an answering machine on that.
So if Gizmo can't get to the phone quick enough, then you can leave a message.
Yeah, yep. That's the place you can reach me most of the time.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And you do answer that because that's where people call in and complain about me.
Yes.
Do you save those phone calls? You should. It'd be a neat little, like a little promo sometimes.
All the complaints we get about Mac, we don't get enough.
You don't get enough?
No, I would like more.
That's like saying you can't be too thin or too rich. You want more complaints about me?
No, I don't want more complaints. Really, we don't get that many. Oh. Every once in a while, I think it's like a lot of things. You know, one of the most popular shows on a station I managed years ago had the most complaints when it first started. I mean, we would get constant complaints, and I said, "Well, keep listening to it." And then all those complaints turned into, "It's my favorite show. I love it the most. It's the greatest thing ever." You know, Mac, you're just very different. You know, the person that gets up in the morning and listens to R.C. Sproul wants to be encouraged and edified and know what God's word says about something. But here, we just have a blast. It's just a crazy good time. And we talk about stuff that's going on locally. In fact, I'm having more compliments now about all the local news that we do, all the local stories, all the local people that we have in the studio. So people like hearing about the community.
It's all about Des Moines.
Yeah.
It's all about not Des Moines proper, but it's about Central Iowa.
You know, the truth of the rumor is that R.C. Sproul has relatives in Iowa.
Really?
So, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he does. Up north of here, though, just a bit.
I also heard Ryan Jorgensen from Harvest Bible Chapel talk about that new program, which is at, 10:30?
10:30, yeah, Monday through Friday. It's Walk in the Word. It's the radio program of Pastor James McDonald. He is the senior pastor, lead pastor of Harvest Bible Chapel, the first Harvest Bible Chapel. They have now an association of churches.
Yeah.
So Harvest Bible Chapel here in Des Moines is the affiliate of Pastor McDonald's church, and so he's on the radio every day at 10:30. Have you gotten to listen to that yet, Mac?
Well, what's it called?
Walk in the Word.
Okay, well, I'm confused. Walk in the Word, because there's another show that we have that uses the name Harvest.
That's Greg Laurie's radio program,
and he's from Moody.
No, Greg Laurie is a Calvary Chapel pastor. He's a part of the Calvary Chapel affiliate of churches, started by I was going to say God, which is true. God started it, through Pastor Chuck Smith in Southern California during the Jesus People
He's
movement.
on what, at like 8:30 or 9 in the morning?
He's at 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
9, okay.
And Harvest is the name of his church. His church is in Riverside, California. And Harvest is also the name of his ministry, his organization. They hold Greg Laurie, I really think, and this is maybe a big claim, but I think he's really the next generation's Billy Graham. This guy holds these incredible Harvest Crusades. Just thousands and thousands of people come to the Lord. They have really cool music.
Isn't he coming to Kansas City? I could be wrong.
Well, I
remember listening, and somebody was coming pretty close.
Yeah. Well, David Jeremiah has come to Kansas City before. Some listeners traveled down to go see him when he was in Kansas City. Harvest in Riverside, California, Greg Laurie's church and Harvest Ministries, when they do a crusade, it's really cool. Because their crusade will happen in a single location. Like I think this year it's happening in Dallas. I think it might actually be happening in the Cowboys Stadium is where the main event is going on. And then it's going to be simulcast live video feed all over the country so that people can watch it. Be on the internet. You can have a harvest event at your house. You can invite friends over to watch the thing right there in your house. It's something that Harvest Ministries has been doing for a while. Really neat evangelistic opportunity for folks.
Well, because, I just want to level a complaint that I think we ought to only had one harvest.
Yes.
On the station. But then, of course, I think there should only be one church named Hope. And that's not going to go over very well either. So,
well, you'd think there should only be one Redeemer. Now, I can say, to my knowledge, there's only one Westkirk. So
that's Westkirk Redeemer?
Westkirk Presbyterian Church.
Oh, the church you go to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's only one of us.
All right. So how did I get there? The number to bother Ron.
Yes.
251-2663. Call him up and ask him like a question. Let's think of a question that only he would know the answer to, and then he'd be amazed when somebody called up. What's in aisle 3 in Walmart?
No, Ron is an expert when it comes to the Beatles.
Oh, really?
And the Beach Boys. If you want to know anything about the Beach Boys, and I don't just mean the pop Beach Boys stuff, but the real stuff, the stuff Brian Wilson did after Pet Sounds and after. So if you've got a question about, what's the third track on Pet Sounds, Ron probably knows off the top of his head.
Is that like the cool See and Say that my granddaughter has? Pet sounds when you push what's a pig sound like? Oink, oink, oink.
Right.
Yeah?
No, it's not like that at all.
Okay. We have some interesting news today. Most of it local, some of it national. This pipeline project is heating up that they want to cut across the state of Iowa, which will come very, very close to Polk County, or maybe to the northeast corner of Polk County. It does go through Story County. Do you know that one of the bills that is before the state legislature this year is a constitutional amendment to the Constitution of Iowa?
Right, state constitution. Mm-hmm.
A right, excuse me, I'm sorry, a right to hunt and fish.
We don't have that right already?
You do not have a natural right to hunt and fish.
Would that right then do away with the need for a license? Is that what the difference is?
Of course not. They're not going to get rid of a way to find money from you.
But you people can hunt and fish in the state of Iowa now, yes?
Well, I'll explain it later.
Okay.
But you do not have a constitutional right to hunt and fish in the state of Iowa. In other words, if someone wanted to stop you, they could stop you from hunting and fishing. Now, obviously, if you're on private property, but if you go to Saylorville Lake and you want to put a fishing rod in, somebody could actually come up and tell you can't do it there. And what they're doing here is the DNR, and by the way, the DNR has given permission on this. But you would think that we have the right to hunt and fish on land in Iowa, but we actually don't. In fact, 16 states across the nation have been changing their constitution to have a right to hunt and fish, which could be extremely important should life change and we need to feed our family based on natural resources.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that would be
in the state
paramount.
of Iowa, somebody could say, no, you don't have any right to hunt, even on public land. Now, private land, they can. If I have a house and I got a lake and I don't want you fishing in my lake, you don't have a constitutional right to fish on my lake if I have a no trespassing sign.
Which is an interesting, maybe we'll talk about that more then, but that's interesting to talk about where do our rights come from and what does it mean to actually have a right to something.
Well, our rights come from God.
Well, I understand that, but if we say that we have, let's put it this way, if I have if I have a right, if it is my right to hunt and to fish, nothing should be able to stop me. Not even you saying you can't do that on my private property.
Private property rights have to all right. So here we have a right to carry a gun.
Yes.
Unless there's a sign outside of the business saying no guns allowed.
Right.
Now, at some point, both rights have to exist. This is the challenge we're having with religious rights nowadays.
Right.
We haven't figured out in this country how we can be tolerant of those people who have no religious values, and at the same time, they have to be tolerant of the fact that we have them.
That's coexist.
Coexist, yeah. So far, the pendulum is so far against people of faith but we'll get around to that. We got to let the little boys play in the sandbox for a while and, kick sand up and act like a bully. Eventually, what happened at the Gort's house will never be able to happen again. And that hopefully is going to be soon.
Yeah.
All right, so yesterday you weren't here, but Bob and Frank, you were. I had my tin foil hat on yesterday in full force, and I couldn't figure out this sudden death of Scalia and why there was nothing else going on, autopsies, who the coroner was, etc. Well, guess what? Washington Post wrote a story. I'm not going to say neener, I told you so, but I'm not the only one thinking it. We'll go to that and more live here today on The Truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah!
If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
21 minutes after 3:21 in the afternoon, 16th day of February, Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Glad to have you here. Chris stepped out for just a second. Here's the story. Dateline, Washington, D.C. 2 days after Supreme Court Justice Scalia died suddenly in remote West Texas, a former D.C. homicide commander is raising questions about how the death was handled by local and federal authorities. William Ritchie, former head of criminal investigations for D.C. police, excuse me, wrote in a post on Facebook last Sunday, as a former homicide commander, I am stunned that no autopsy was ordered for Justice Scalia. Scalia was found dead in his room at a luxury hunting resort in the state's Big Bend region by the resort's owner. It took hours for authorities to find a justice of the peace. When they did, the county judge, Guanevo, pronounced Scalia dead of natural causes without seeing the body. This is permissible under Texas law and without ordering an autopsy. Then on Sunday, U.S. Marshal Service, which provides security for Supreme Court justices, said that Scalia had declined a security detail while at the ranch. So marshals were not present when he died. When the marshals were notified, deputy marshals from the Western District of Texas went to the scene. Guevara, the owner of the ranch, or I'm sorry, that's not the owner of the ranch. That's the
judge.
Yeah, the justice of the peace. Says she declared Scalia dead based on information from law enforcement officials on the scene who assured her that, quote unquote, there were no signs of foul play. Yeah, that's the witness I want. She also spoke to Scalia's doctor, who told her that the justice had been in to see him Wednesday and Thursday the previous week for a shoulder injury, and that he had ordered an MRI for Scalia. The 79-year-old justice also suffered from several chronic conditions. She said she was awaiting a statement from the physicians to complete Scalia's death certificate. The manager of the El Paso funeral home that handled Scalia's body said Scalia's family insisted on not having an autopsy done, but the decision has spawned a host of conspiracy theories online, as well as skeptical questions from law enforcement experts such as Ritchie. Quote, you have a Supreme Court justice who died not in attendance of a physician. You have a non-homicide trained U.S. Marshal tell the justice of the peace there was no foul play that he observed. You have a justice of the peace pronounced death while not being on the scene and without any medical training, opining that the justice died of a heart attack. What medical proof exists of any heart infraction? Why not a cerebral hemorrhage? Cerebral hemorrhage. In an interview with the Washington Post, Guevara said she had rebutted a report by a Dallas TV station that Scalia had died of a heart attack. She said she meant only that his heart had stopped. No. That makes her a rocket scientist, Bob.
Yep, that's what happens when you die.
Excuse me. I did an hour's worth of voice work today, and obviously I shouldn't have. Ritchie also raised questions about the marshal's actions. How could the marshal say without a thorough post-mortem that he was not injected with an illegal substance that would stimulate a heart attack? Did the U.S. Marshal check for a hemorrhage in his eyes or under his lips that might have suggested suffocation? Did the U.S. Marshal smell his breath for any unusual odor that might suggest poisoning? My gut tells me there's something fishy going on in Texas. This is a former homicide detective. A spokesman for the Marshal's Service said Monday that the Marshals did not make a formal determination of death. He directed questions to the county judge who made the call. Scalia's physician is a U.S. Navy Rear Admiral and the attending physician for the U.S. Congress and Supreme Court. He declined to comment on Scalia's health when reached by telephone Monday. Patient confidentiality forbids me to make any comment on the subjects. When asked whether he planned to make public the statement he's preparing for Guevara, Monahan repeated the same statement and hung up on the reporter.
Yeah.
I smell a rat. Now, here I am. I'm just a radio guy in the 77th largest market in the country. And you can't tell me that that there aren't more people out there that are thinking this. Well, that's what I said yesterday. Now, today, we find out that not only is there another radio guy thinking about it, but a former head of criminal investigations for D.C. Police. Former head of criminal investigations for D.C. Police said this is not right. And what? We think that our government at any level is not capable of a homicide or a murder?
Yeah, well, I agree. If it was up to me, I would do that just to prevent all of these kind of questions.
But can't somebody require an autopsy?
I believe if there's foul play, then the coroner or medical examiner can say, we're doing an autopsy.
Frank, I need the mics up higher, please. But, I mean, even this guy, this D.C., excuse me, William Ritchie, former head of criminal investigations for D.C. Police, wouldn't that be enough? Wouldn't that be enough of somebody to say, okay, we need who would be the one that would order the autopsy? Who's the final word there? Obviously his family.
Well, yes, if they wanted it, if there is no foul play suspected, then any family can request that, and they would pay for that. That would be at their cost if they wanted to know. But if it's a homicide or a questionable death, then the medical examiner, usually if there's a questionable death, medical examiner will send out investigators to investigate that, and then they determine if they're going to do an autopsy or not, depending on what the investigator sees. And that didn't happen, as far as I understand, down there in Texas. They had no medical examiner or no coroner actually view the body.
No. They didn't do anything.
And there are, the coroner system isn't the greatest system set up there because some of the coroners around the country are not medical people. So, and that's why they're trying to go and get medical examiners all over the country so they have consistency in these investigations. So that's my belief. I believe they should have had a medical examiner investigate this.
Was it because of I had heard this said, and I don't know if it was with you guys yesterday or not, but that when the person found him, that they just said, he died of natural causes, and kind of people just went with that? Was it kind of just, it was an assumption? It doesn't seem like the lack of an investigation was malicious, does it?
Well, on the other hand, the person who actually found Judge Scalia was the owner of the ranch, and he told a local reporter that there was a pillow over his face.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Well,
which is abnormal.
Now, I heard that Fox did a follow-up and got a hold of that owner. He didn't want to say much, but he said that the pillow was above his head, not covering his head.
Oh, over in that sense.
Above it.
Above it.
Right. That's what I heard from Fox News yesterday.
So that may have been a misunderstanding then. When everybody was saying there was a pillow over his head, they were just
they
above him.
If it was above him, you could say over. People might take and interpret over as on top of his head or face.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, maybe I've watched too many James Bond movies. Maybe I've watched too many They're Trying to Kill the President movies.
Can I ask you a simple question? What would be other than pure evil, whatever that might be, but what would be the motivation here for Justice Scalia to be assassinated in a sense?
Scalia was clearly conservative.
Right.
Over-the-top conservative.
Yep.
There are 6 cases. There is one scheduled March 2nd one scheduled March 23rd, one scheduled April 16th. Then there are 3 other arguments that are being scheduled before the Supreme Court, and they can't cancel them at this point. The court has to hear them with 8 rather than 9. And the rule is, if they come out even, in other words, if 4 say, I agree, and 4 say, I don't agree, then they go back to the ruling of the lower court.
Gotcha.
And in several of those cases, Barack Obama would win if the lower court's ruling was the law.
When you say win, you just mean his outcome would prevail?
All right, let me give you an example.
Okay.
Let me go back here to page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. Okay. Whether states should change how voting districts are drawn from being based on total population to basing them on the number of eligible voters. The Democrats, of course, would like to see total population. The Republicans would like to say, well, I'd like eligible voters. What does it matter? The lower court ruled that the state should use population. Okay? If the decision comes out 4-4, then Barack Obama would lose that. No, I got that backwards. Total population to basing on it. No, right. Yeah, the court ruled that the states could use total population. So you could shove as many people as you wanted to in a place, and they would have to turn around and say, okay, all those people can vote, and yet half of them aren't eligible to vote.
And that's worth killing someone over?
That's number one.
Okay.
December, this case, whether universities can consider race as a factor in admissions. Previous ruling, an appeals court found in favor of the University of Texas in Austin. The High Court heard the appeal a few months later and voted 7-1 to send the case back to the appeals court, which again, in 2014, ruled in favor of the university.
Which was what? What was the university wanted what?
The university, of course, wanted to say that we could use race as a deciding factor in admissions.
Which currently happens, though.
Right, but most conservatives would like to get rid of that. That's been abused. Oh, we have to do it because he's black. Well, I thought we were against racism. You know, we had...
well, affirmative action is the idea to give opportunity for people that in other circumstances did not have that opportunity.
Yeah, and now everybody has that opportunity to go to college, no matter what your skin color is.
So the university wants to do away with that, or they want to keep race as a qualifier for admissions?
They want to keep it.
Okay.
The High Court heard the appeal a few months later and voted 7-1 to send the case back to the appeals court.
And the appeals court sided with the university.
Right. Now, and I can go on. I can give you 3 more. One about unions collecting dues from people who aren't in the union. One is on abortion, and the other is on religious freedoms.
And I think that the fascinating thing to me, and I understand that those are, especially some of those last ones, probably got people more excited than the first 2. But my question is, and again, I don't know, is that worth killing someone over, though?
Well, but now Barack Obama gets to put in somebody on the Supreme Court before he's out of office.
Or he could try.
Or he can try, yes. And they've got 2 other Supreme Court justices that are probably not going to make it through the first term of the next president, and they assume that that's probably going to be a Democrat. We'll go through some of this stuff when we come back. That and more news locally here live on The Truth.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money-back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
.338, 22 minutes before the top of the hour. Salem Radio Network News at the top. And then it's us next hour. Tom Henderson, the Polk County Democrat, head of the Polk County Democrats. We're going to have a friendly conversation about politics. Like, for instance, here's a question I'm going to ask Tom. Did you have Scalia killed? We're just going to have a nice conversation.
Friendly like that. Kind.
Bob, say what you said off mic, because I think that's really important. And you said it so simply.
Well, the reason that there's a conspiracy theory where some people will believe that maybe the justice was murdered, if you want to call it that, or taken out, whatever you want to call it, is because there's uncertainty as to who's going to win the next election.
Right.
And the way it's looking is that, Hillary's not looking that good. Sanders is not looking, as good as they would like them to be in this. And so they're afraid that if that happens, the next 4 to 8 years, we're going to be losing a bunch of justices. Well, if you have a conservative president, then they're going to try to get conservative judges in the court. If right now we have 4 liberals, 4 conservative judges, so it's a stalemate, basically,
right,
in the vote. So you have to have another one. And the way it's been for years, right, Mac, it's been 5-4 conservative.
Yeah.
And
John Roberts was kind of the backup that would never happen, that we would never lose for this generation. And then, whatever reason, Roberts was bought off by Obama or something. I still can't figure that out.
We don't know. So the thing is, the chance that they have, if you want to look at that, is if one of the conservatives, especially a very strong constitutionalist, was eliminated, then there's a chance that a liberal could be nominated and put in that place.
Or even what a lot of people are saying is, quote, a moderate.
Or a moderate, right, which...
And the question you asked off mic was, and that's worth killing someone.
Right. And
this is the Democratic Party. Okay, they don't think twice about killing people, young and old.
Well, it's the scary thing of politics. I mean, we're talking about the highest court in the United States. We're talking about a court that, in my opinion, and I'm not alone in this, I think much smarter people than me agree, it's way out of whack in terms of has way too much influence, has way too much power. When they make, quote, decisions, people treat those decisions as the law of the land. We just saw that with union between two men being called marriage in the United States, or given the same benefit as that declaration by the highest court doesn't make things law, it doesn't make things right, but that high court says things and the whole world says yay, and so it moves public opinion, and it's stronger than that because so many disputes now are just handled in court between lawyers and that kinds of stuff. So the Supreme Court is very powerful. So I guess I could see how critical this is, and I do agree with a lot of the people running right now, the conservatives that are running, saying this is a critical issue. So it's sad. I'm naive, and I want to believe people aren't quite that evil. But
well, the Supreme Court is they're not elected.
Right.
They're a group that they're not elected, and we're told that they are actually making law. And the only people that should be making the law are the people that are elected by the people to do that.
Right.
And so that is the issue that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of how do you see the law? Kind of reminds me of different denominations. They read the same book and come up with different interpretations.
It's true.
All right, let's move on to a couple of other stories. Opponents of the proposed pipeline project in Iowa want the state utility board to take additional evidence that crude oil production in the United States is now being shipped overseas, which would bolster their argument that the North Dakota oil that is going to be shipped through the so-called Bakken pipeline has no benefits for Iowans. It's been more than 2 months since the Iowa Utilities Board ended hearings and gathering documents on the project, which would stretch diagonally across 1,300 parcels of land and 18 counties in Iowa at a cost of $1 billion. Now, that isn't our money. Okay, that's money that is paid to Iowans to do the work. That's labor costs.
Right.
Paid by another company. So I want to let you know that. The other thing we talked about a little earlier is that they are now voting on a constitutional amendment in the State House to have the right to hunt and fish. And Bob, you explained well why this is going on.
I didn't, realize what the issue is, but it's basically, I'm reading it from an article in the Register. So, if they're right, I don't know. But, now I got to take a poll to get to that article. Anyway, it was saying that it's to protect us from animal rights people, basically.
Right, that's what it's all about. And I made a mistake and really didn't think about that. I had the story in front of me, but that's exactly what my story said.
Right.
And my story comes from WHO-TV.
Right, because if it's not established as a right here in the state of Iowa to hunt and fish with a license, then a pro-animal lobby or group could come in and say, well, hey, you're killing innocent animals and you shouldn't be doing that. And so
PETA, they're just crazy people.
It's just so strange that we have to have legislation like that, or that we have to have something like that in the Constitution. But I guess maybe we need to.
Well, it's lawyers. We love them when they're on our side, and we blame them when they're not.
Right.
And I can't blame them. They get educated on how laws are written and how laws are changed, and if they see some injustice, then they know how the process works to get that law changed.
Yeah.
And in this case, we've got laws we've got lawyers working for our benefit. I think this is for our benefit. Now, if you're a PETA freak, you don't think so. But we've got a law that says, hey, I want to go to Saylorville and I want to fish for my dinner tonight. I have every right to do that. And without that right, somebody could come in. I mean, you could have a lawyer that could come in and put a fishing ban at Lake Saylorville. And yeah, you'd say, well, that's wrong, but he could tie it up in courts for years.
Right. I think it's fascinating too that you mentioned that the DNR is the group that is bringing this up, that wants the constitutional amendment to make it a right, which is fascinating to me because these are the parks people, these are the people that care about the wildlife and the natural resources here in the state, and they're saying this is important. And I can say I was a vegetarian for a long time. If you met me and you looked at me, you wouldn't believe that, but I was, and I was an animal rights activist to a degree. I wasn't very extreme, but I love animals, and God created them, and they are special. And I had a friend who pointed something out to me. He's a hunter, and he lived in Montana, and he laughed at me. He said, "You're a vegetarian. What are you, sissy? What kind of sissy are you?" And I said, "Well, look, it's terrible to just kill animals, and this is just ridiculous, and we don't need to do that." And one of the things he pointed out to me was the gray wolf in Montana. The population control of the gray wolf in Montana is essential, and hunting gray wolves in Montana is actually very, very important to stabilize the whole ecological system in that state. And we've got the same kind of stuff here, you know what I mean? And when I moved to Iowa, I would have thought, before I moved to Iowa, I would have thought, well, why would you ever want to shoot a deer? They're so beautiful and lovely and gorgeous. And I still think they're absolutely beautiful. But as an Iowan, man, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And they really, we have to have some population control.
You have to consider the fact that if you have out of control deer population, for instance, a lot more accidents are going to take place. So it's going to have an economical impact. Also, food will be scarce. So animals are going to starve to death.
Right.
So the thing is, it's if people that shoot them are going to take them and eat them, and I know a lot of hunters that eat their venison and love it. I think it's a good way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, now
I'm not a hunter, though. I mean, I have to be. I'm not. I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. I don't own a gun. I don't hunt and all that kind of stuff. But
you love your burger.
Yeah, sure. Animal tastes good.
The thing I can't wrap my arm around is God had this all figured out. And how did sin impact the deer population?
Well, here's an interesting thing to consider. Did you have an answer to that? I think.
No, I don't have an answer.
Urbanization, is an interesting thing. And I talked about this before. It's something that I've wrestled with in my own mind, is how do we balance the growth of technology, the growth of urbanized areas where we pave over the ground, where we build these cars that get us to move around, these skyscrapers, radio towers, microphones, all this technology, which we love and is great and is wonderful. But what part of it is having an effect on our natural resources, and how do we both do those technological advances and care for the natural resources?
Yeah, I think man ought to get the heck out of the way and let God do his job. All right, we're coming up on our next break. While we're out, would you do me a favor on your computer? I want to show you the next coup that Donald J. Trump pulled. Go to jebbush.com. We're coming back. I'll tell you about it.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Ten minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News at the top, and then the head of the Democratic Party in Polk County, Iowa, Tom Henderson, great guy, lawyer. Whoops, just said that something. Great guy, lawyer, and he's going to be up with us. And you remember, he's our guest, so we're going to be nice to him because I enjoy him on the radio. He's one of the most sensible Democrats you're ever going to meet, and it's tough to use sensible and Democrat in the same sentence. All right, real quickly. So if you go to jebbush.com, you go to a Donald Trump website. Now, let's not give Trump any credit for this. This didn't happen by Trump, but obviously one of his supporters. Sure, had to. Yeah, had to be. Yeah, and you can go on. It's public domain information about who owns that, I think, or whose is that, maybe something like that. Yeah,
something like that, yeah.
And it'll tell you right when it's going to expire. You can go to GoDaddy for $69. I'm a GoDaddy client. I do all my stuff through GoDaddy. You can, for $69, put a watch on that URL, and the second, if it expires on the 16th of February 2016, as soon as that clock goes 11:58, 11:59, midnight, boom, you own it. And that's what somebody did here. Jeb Bush was not looking out for jebbush.com. He let it expire. And the moment it expired, it was a Trump fan. Now, could have been some other fan. Could have been a Jeb Bush fan. We'd never know about it. But I don't think that's so much a story about politics as it is about URLs.
Right. Absolutely.
I have all my grandkids as a .com.
Yeah.
Now, whether they'll ever need it, I say they will. I say .coms are extremely important. When I have somebody who starts a new radio show or a business, whatever they're going to own or whatever they're going to call it, they better own the .com. They better own the .net. They better own the .tv. It's a TV show, or a .org if it's a not-for-profit. And I have spent too much money sometimes on the right URL for a business that I wanted to start. But a lot of times people will now look to see if I wanted to call it Chris and Max, and chrisandmax.com was taken, we wouldn't call it Chris and Max, because that's what everybody does. They just assume. Now, when will that no longer be valid, Chris?
I don't know.
Today, because of Google. If I put in Chris and Max in Google,
right.
And I didn't put .com, it would still find us if we had...
right, in terms of search engine optimization, people are actually
tagging URLs with other names. Whenever I put a blog up, I put 8, 10, 12 tags on it. Whatever if you Google, I believe in Jesus, some of my blogs will come up.
Yeah,
because that's one of the tags I use.
Yeah,
or radio or whatever it is. So I just think it's kind of interesting. Right in the middle of a presidential campaign, you go to jebbush.com and you end up on Donald Trump's page.
Genius.
Hope Donald Trump pays that guy some money. By the way, did you see Donald Trump gave $100,000 to the homeless shelter here in Iowa?
Did he really? Which one?
It was in the paper this morning or yesterday. The main one, the main one downtown that operates.
Hope Ministries?
The Hope Ministries one?
I don't think it was Hope.
Bethel?
Was it?
I think Hope combined Bethel and...
It's where Tim used to work. That doesn't help you, I know.
Oh, Tim's old place.
Yeah, but Google Trump donates $100,000 to a homeless shelter, and you'll see that come up. All right, we've been talking a little bit about the Death with Dignity bill aimed at allowing terminally ill patients to self-administer lethal drugs. Well, it won't be voted on this year.
Good.
It did not make it past the funnel, so it's dead for now. Also, a bill at the Iowa House would allow the Department of Transportation to raise the speed limit on interstate highways to 75 miles an hour. A 3-person subcommittee unanimously passed the bill. Onto a full committee, a separate House bill would raise the speed limit on rural 2-lane highways also. Head of the DOT says, whoa. Whoa. 4 years. In 2005 and 2009. In 2005, we raised the speed limit. And our driving fatalities went from 19.5% to 25.3%. I don't know. I like to drive fast, so I probably don't get to talk there.
This says Central Iowa Shelter and Services in downtown Des Moines.
Yeah, down there at about 16th, 17th, and Cherry, I would imagine.
No address here.
That was some of the money that came from his thing that he did at Drake University instead of being at the debate,
sure, yeah,
because that goes to the veterans. Obviously,
right.
A homeless shelter is one of the places veterans end up.
There you go.
And so, so that was nice to see that. Now, does that change your mind about him? I don't know. It's got to add to it. You can't just pile up on the tough stuff. You got to look at what he did. He raised several $1 million, and it all landed right back here in central Iowa.
Well, and I definitely think that's a big kudos to Trump. I think the man is very generous. I mean, there's no doubt about that. He's shown a lot of generosity throughout this campaign, and I don't think it's just a campaign thing. I would probably agree that that's probably part and parcel for who Trump is, kind of an ongoing thing. I think, he's got a lot of wealth, and I think he wants to do good with it. I think decent people want to do good with their wealth. It doesn't mean they should be the president of the United States just because they're. I mean, look, Mark Zuckerberg, right? Facebook guy. He gives a lot of money away. Should he be the president of the United States just because he's charitable? Or what about Bill Gates? Bill Gates gives a lot of money away. What about Rick Warren? Rick Warren gives tons of money away. That doesn't make somebody worthy of being the president.
Now, that money he gave or donated was part of the $6 million that he raised at the rally.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, you just made me think of something. What was I going to say it?
That I'm awesome?
You know what? That was what? That was it. You know what I could see Donald Trump do, though, as president?
What?
This would be a typical Trump thing. So what are we in debt? How many trillion? 4 trillion?
Oh, are you kidding? It's like 20 trillion now.
All right.
No, we just eclipsed 19 trillion the other day.
Okay, 19 trillion.
Can he pay it off? That'd be great.
No, he doesn't pay it off. He has a telethon. A worldwide telethon. And if you donate money to pay off the United States debt, it's tax deductible. So if you're China and you owe taxes, tariffs, whatever, boom, it's gone. If you're Germany and you import things and therefore there's a tariff on it, boom, it's gone. If you're just Chris and Steph Roloff and you want to give $100, boom, tax deductible. Think about it. Trump's the kind of guy that could do that. What if he could zero the debt through a worldwide telethon?
That would be weird. That would totally be his style, though. I'd watch,
his style.
And the truth is, I'd watch that. That's the sad thing. Right now, I can imagine myself on my couch with a bowl of popcorn going, yeah, we're going to raise some money. Woo! Go Trumpy. He's giving away Trump steaks. He's giving away bottles of Trump water.
Yeah, he gives away hotel rooms. He has superstars from across the globe come on and perform. I mean, just think of Jerry Lewis.
Yeah, that's what
on
I'm
a much
imagining.
grander scale.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be absolutely hilarious. I would watch that.
But see, that's what you'd get with a Trump presidency. And I voted. Everybody knows I dumped Trump. I went with Rubio. I'm not going to change that. But if Donald Trump's the nominee on the right side, I'm voting for him. No doubt in my mind. Still better.
You say on the right side?
On the conservative side.
Oh.
Which is the right side. All right, let's take a break. Salem Radio Network News will update us. And then next hour, the head of the Polk County Democrats. Tom Henderson in the house, live on The Truth.